Hey now, everybody. Welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news from the world of Dungeons & Dragons Online, the tabletop, and beyond. I am your host this evening, Drac, and joining me is a fan favorite, friend of the show, fresh back from GaryCon, Mr. Evil Beeker.
Hey everybody! The legs are finally recovered. I think
we will talk about GaryCon, sir. That's originally what I wanted to have you on, and then a lot of other stuff happened. So
that usually is the case.
That is the case. So buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a good show, maybe a long show too, because we got a lot to talk about. So let's jump into the game news. We do have some. Unfortunately, right now as we record this, it's not very good news. DDO is unavailable. So is Lotro as well. It seems like there is a issue at the data center from what I can figure out. They haven't said much other than at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're recording this at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. So just a couple hours ago, Jerry did post up, "We have been working all day to resolve issues at the data center, and we will continue to investigate and resolve outstanding issues. At this time, we do not have an ETA to announce." So
that's rough.
I feel for that IT team right now, because I know what that is like.
As an IT professional, I can tell you that data center issues are major deals.
Oh, yeah, because
I'm sure Standing Stone isn't the only one that's suffering from some major kind of crisis right now.
Oh, no, anybody that would use that data center is going to be having the same issues. I would assume it's something major to totally take it out like that. So
right. Absolutely. And folks, don't blame SSG. It's
exactly
probably,
it is out of their hands. They can do nothing about this. They are waiting on the wonderful IT folks at the data center to do their thing and to get. And, it could be like a domino effect. It could be something not even at the data center, but it's like their internet backbone or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, we don't know exactly what happened, and we probably never will, to be honest. But, this is not SSG's fault. Just remember that.
Patience, and we'll get through it.
Patience is a virtue, as they say, correct?
Yes. Absolutely.
Let's jump into Update 67, which was released this week on Wednesday, March 27th. That brought a new adventure pack. This is a free adventure pack right now. All you got to do to get it is go into the Hall of Heroes, talk to the dragon. This is part of the 50th anniversary celebration that's going on all year. So go talk to the dragon. You'll unlock it on your account. Adventure pack's free for everybody. It's through April 23rd. So go talk to the dragon, get it unlocked. It's called Slice of Life. They say about it, daily life in Sharn isn't quite as ordinary as some would believe. Take part in a cooking competition, renovate a home, and go on an educational date in this totally ordinary series of quests. Slice of Life quest is here. It is for level 18 on Heroic and 34 on Legendary. And it can be found in Nymph's Court at Morgrave University is the start of it. There's three quests for this. Fred's First Date, Too Many Cooks, and This Old Haunt. Once again, this is free, so just go talk to the dragon, and you can get it unlocked. It will be available in the store later after April 23rd if you want to buy it, but just go get it for free. It will also be free to VIPs, so if you're a VIP and you for some reason can't log in before April 23rd to unlock it, VIPs will still get it for free.
Yeah, somebody's been watching too much reality television.
Yeah, this is an interesting. I can't wait to run these quests because they sound very interesting.
Well, and you and I ran the cat one.
Yes.
Cat, or the yarn ball one, whatever you want to call it. And that was okay. I didn't hate it.
Catastrophe. No, it was pretty funny. And that's the thing. Think that type of quest for these. These are like fun, tongue-in-cheek. They're not part of any arcing story that we have going on. It's just a fun quest pack.
Well, if you remember, we got the mace that had the ball of yarn at the end.
Yes, which is amazing.
Which Saphira literally had a kitten over.
So amazing. Also, if you're VIP, you get free daily gold rolls through April 23rd. So log in every day and get a daily dice gold roll and be like me and roll ones all the time and don't get anything, but
well,
RNG and stuff.
Do it on different servers. So
exactly.
I'm actually rolling it on 4 different servers.
Yeah, I need to do that too. I should really start logging in every day and do that. Then, and that the gold rolls go through April 23rd as well. So also in update 67, there was some bug fixes.
A lot of bug fixes.
There's a lot of bug. That's right.
This list is really long.
Yeah, we are not going to go through all of these because, this is a lot. You can go over to the show notes and you can get linked to this so you can read it all. But there was a lot of stuff they fixed in this one.
I don't see the ladder bug on here again. Because we've been getting the ladder bug lately.
Yeah, last night when we were playing, it's been a long time since I had that, and I had it twice. And I'm like, ooh, this is good times. I remember these days. Some of the highlights here, the puzzle and reset lever has been fixed in the Grand Theft Aryan quest. So if you were having some problems with that, now should be fixed. Explosive situation that is no longer incorrectly flagged as a solo quest.
Yeah, they changed that quest. When we were doing our low level guys not too long ago, I was like, oh, well, I'll go over here and do the solo quest. And I'm like, whoa, it's not a solo quest anymore.
I didn't realize that. I haven't done that quest in ages. I couldn't tell you the last time
I mean, you do it for Coin Lord favor.
Right. Right. Well, exactly. That's really, let's be honest, that's the only reason why you would do that quest. It's not, it's like it's a difficult quest. It's just kind of annoying. Tumble will no longer erroneously break stealth and invisibility. So if you were counting on that, you can now tumble and it won't break either one of those.
For all you crazy tumble guys out there.
Exactly. There was some Magus of the Eclipse fixes, some Exalted Angel fixes. There has been various typos corrected in Sharadi Champion. Also, various buffs will no longer improperly stick in your buff bar. Bastani Knife Fighter's Fan of Knives now scales with the higher of your melee or your range power as intended and no longer scales with spell power. That is one I did notice on my rogue. That is a Bastani Knife Fighter. I did notice that was not working, so I'm glad they fixed that. Because I was like, why am I not getting more out of Fan of Knives right now? And then I see it was because it was going off my spell power, which is 0. So there you go. And a ability DC typo has been corrected in Artificer's Thundershock weapon. Dragon Lord got some fixes, which of course is the new archetype that just came out. That was the first freebie. Flight of Kings no longer sets all leaps to a 15-second cooldown. Active abilities that were not working correctly while moving will now do so. The past life now counts as a fighter past life for the purposes of completionist. Completionist, that's a weird word.
Completionist.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Ravager's Blood Strength now works properly for the Dragon Lords. And Ravager's Mutilate, that is a cool skill. I don't know what it does, but it just sounds cool. It will now properly work for the Dragon Lords as well.
Yeah, I haven't hit any of these, but
That's what I was going to ask you.
My guys aren't over 10th levels, so these might be higher levels.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how deep into the trees any of these were. A lot of other fixes, a bunch of curses got some fixes as well. Like I said, go over into our show notes and you can read this entire list because, yeah, this is a big list.
Well, we do have to talk about the number one thing there under general changes.
Yes, that I was just getting to that because last night I was like, what is this? There is now a new UI element that will show your tumble charges. This UI can be hidden, which I should have read these patch notes when we were playing last night. I could have found it easily. It took me like 5 minutes to figure out where it was. If you go into your options menu, in the Show Tumble UI, it's under the UI section of the options menu. Under that, you will see one that says Show Tumble UI. Click that, and it will turn off because it's basically this little green bar. It's got like 2 pips in it, and that represents 1 tumble charge. So you have two charges. The previous tumble visuals on your character have been removed. You can drag the UI element around, and it'll stay where you leave it. Yeah, it's in a very not where they placed it by default is really bad. It's really bad placement.
It's right over, like, if there's other people in your party.
Yeah.
It's like right over them.
It's right over them.
I mean, they had to pick somewhere, so
yeah.
I suppose it's not.
So if you want to turn it off, you can. If you are a person that tumbles a lot and you want to see how many charges you have left, you can move it around. But once again, you can turn it off. Yeah, last night because I logged in for the first time last night when Beeker and I were playing, and I was like, what is this 2-dot green bar that's on my screen? And then I'm like,
you highlight over it and it says it's tumble charges, and we're like, oh
yeah, and then I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, how do I turn this off? So yes, go into the options menu, Show Tumble UI, unclick it, and it'll go. Then characters, speaking of tumble, now will gain 1 tumble charge when you train the tumble skills rank 10 and rank 20. These charges cannot be earned through effects, abilities, or epic level bonuses to the tumble skill, but only by training the skill in the heroic levels. Bear traps are now default to being visible and will only be hidden in special cases.
I'm kind of torn on that one.
I kind of am too.
Because of course, every once in a while you get snagged by one. It's always a pain in the butt. But that's part of the game.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know about that, but
not sure.
Aimed shot in the Deepwood Sniper now has a slightly different icon. Okay. And there was some anti-requisites that also got some updates and some changes. Like I said, go over into our show notes and you can get the full list because that is just a quick look at the patch. Because there was a lot of bug fixes and little, like that UI tumble thing and some other things. So go check the full notes out. And go enjoy the new quest when the game is available again, whatever that may be. And then also, if you remember, they did a panel at PAX East, I think, a week ago now? Something like that?
The video was posted on yesterday, actually.
Yeah, the panel is now available to watch. It's up on the DDO YouTube. We have it linked in the show notes as well. It's from Sketch to Scare. They were talking about how they create monsters. And speaking of that, if you remember last year, they had a panel at PAX, and then they were talking about how they made dungeons, and then we voted on a dungeon, and that ended up being the Catastrophe Dungeon with the cat that thought it was a dragon. Well, now they want to know what monster do we want to see in the game. So you have until Thursday, April the 4th, to go vote on this. You have 3 choices. You have an Etten, an Intellect Devourer, and a Carrionet are the 3 choices.
Yeah, Carrionet.
I could care less about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Intellect Devourer, while it could be cool, I mean, it's definitely not going to have the same powers in the game because, it can't.
Right, like number one, we don't have, what's the word I'm looking for that I can't think of? Psionics.
Right. Yeah, but also, too, I mean, it'll probably just blast you with its, blast power or claw bite you or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But it can't take control of you and possess you. Or whatever.
Right, which is kind of the fun of a intellective power. And then the end could be fun.
I'm going to be honest. The end looks kind of cool because I like it's hard to see in the visual, but I mean, it's like you get the two heads and the braided hairs and the big fangs and the two clubs. I don't know. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, that render they did there does look really good. So we'll see.
My vote's for that.
We'll see. Like I said, you have until 11:59 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, April the 4th to cast your vote. And then I would assume they're going to work this monster into the game soon after, like they did with the dungeon from last year. So you can have a say on the new monster in the game. And that is a look at our game news as it stands right now. So let's take a look, see what is the latest news from the dungeon. And we are going to start with some sad news to start this section of the show out. Unfortunately, James M. Jim Ward has passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah, this one hit me super hard. I mean, Jim was not only my friend, but he was my boss at TSR. We stayed in touch over the years, and I always enjoyed seeing him at, Gary Con every year, and when he was still going to Gamehole Con. After COVID, he only went to Gary Con for a couple of years, but yeah, Jim, he let's see if I gotta call up my calendar here. So on the 15th of March, Jim had a massive heart attack, and it was kept quiet because Jim's a public person, but also, his family wanted to keep things quiet, and they said that,
which I understand that.
Yeah, and they said he wasn't feeling well. He probably wasn't going to be at Gary Con and stuff like that. But I got a personal text message from some TSR people saying Jim's not doing good. And then Monday, the 18th in the morning, he fell into a coma and he passed away sometime in the evening. So that was pretty bad. Jim did so much for the game, even when he was at TSR and even afterwards, just being a great caretaker for the game and just being an overall good guy. The man never raised his voice. He never had a bad word to say about anybody, unless you were TSR management, of course. But he did stuff like the Dragon Ball Z card game after TSR. He helped design games for like some of the original Die 20 games for Wheel of Time and Tomb Raiders, and tons of stuff for Castles and Crusades. In the last couple of years, he has a Patreon that he was doing. He has books that he was writing. I did order his last book, and I guess there's one more that he was talking about that is probably not going to be out till July or something. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But yeah, this is hard. This is rough for me. I mean, there was a lot of people that industry people, friends of mine that were literally considering not going to the show. But there was a lot of tributes to Jim at the show. I'll talk about him during the Gary Con thing, and yeah, I'm gonna miss him.
So, just think you like, if you are a fan of Metamorphosis Alpha, think Jim Ward. That was his brainchild, his baby.
Yeah, there's a product.
There's a lot of stuff that he did, but yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that he did. If you happen to be able to get a copy of this, if you like science fiction role playing or Metamorphosis Alpha for sure, or are a fan of anything that Jim did, his last really big role playing product was the Starship Warden, which Troll Games published a couple years ago. I have one. It's on my shelf. It's over there. It is about inch and a half, 2 inches thick.
Wow.
And
Okay.
Jim and a group of people worked on it, and they compiled everything, and it is basically a completely detailed Starship Warden.
I will have to check that out.
For Metamorphosis Alpha, yeah. Trollers was sold out of them when they premiered at the con, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, maybe. Maybe it was the first show after COVID, so 3 years ago. And he didn't have any at the show this year, but I got a funny feeling that Steve Chenault from Troll Art will be reprinting it.
I will make a note to stop by their booth at Gen Con and pick it up if I see one.
Yeah. And one other thing I'll say about my friend Jim, there was two things that Jim always did. Number one, if he saw his first Robin of Spring, he would take the day off, no matter what.
That's awesome.
I know. Apparently, it often ticked off people at TSR. But he also loved cardinals. So Jim was, I guess, he was a bird person. So next time you see a cardinal or a robin, think of Jim.
But I saw one today, as a matter of fact.
Did you?
I did. So there you go. It all ties together. We did get a last interview with him, though.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with Stan Brown, Stan's another old TSR friend of mine. Stan he worked at West End Games for a while, and then he was there the last year and a half before the fall of TSR, as it were. But Stan's also gone on to work for Wotc and other game companies. He had a big part in Die 20 Modern, and this year with the 50th anniversary. Well, so Stan's a cartoonist as well as a game designer and editor, and he's a really good cartoonist,
an amazing cartoonist. Yes,
and I love his work. And he's doing this 50 years in the dungeon series. So every week he's doing the 50 years. Like he started in 74. I think he's up to 80. I think last week was 80. And then while he's drawing, he's doing an homage. So whatever product was released in that year, he's doing an homage. So he's done like the Paladin and Hell piece from Player's Handbook. He did the Fiend Folio cover. He did the old on one of the old original books, the guy with the horse rearing back. He did the DMG cover, the original DMG cover. So it's cool to watch his homages to all these older pieces of art. But he had Jim on. I want to say it was. Let me, if I can, I'll check out the thing here. Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, unfortunately, YouTube doesn't really tell me here. But this was episode 6. I think Stan did episode 10 last week, so it's like almost a month ago. And a lot of great stories of Jim's time with TSR. And if you never watch the man talk or tell a story, you're missing out. So
I will have to watch that. I am kind of behind. I've been watching all those videos, but I'm a couple weeks behind.
Yeah,
so I will definitely watch that one for sure, though.
Yeah, Stan has he's had Steve Winters and Jeff Grubb on. He had Skip Williams on a couple weeks ago. He's had Steve Sullivan on a couple of times. Bill Slavacek, Ed Stark. Yeah, so he's got a few years to go yet, but it's definitely worth the time. So, plus to watch him draw is amazing.
It is.
As I've said before on this show, I draw stickmen. So
yeah, I can't even draw a stick figure. So I'm just like, I'm amazed at watching that man draw, and I'm just like, how do you do that?
Yep. He also, if you check out his YouTube page, he also does. Every time he gets something in the mail, he does a video on it. It's kind of funny. But I sent him a box of 3D printed stuff, and he did a whole video on it. So it's kind of fun.
I will watch that video as well. So let's move on here. We're going to call this Hasbro Likes Money, the section of the show. Hasbro Wizards are teaming up with Lego to give us a D&D Lego set.
I saw this when I was at Gary Con, and I was like, whatever, goodbye.
Like 3,745 pieces. Who has the time to put together a 3,745 Lego piece set?
Not this guy.
Yeah, no.
That's how many pieces was the Death Star?
Oh.
I mean, that would be a good one to compare it to.
But yeah, and also the MSRP on this thing is $359.99.
Yeah, the Death Star is pretty pricey too, but I don't think it's that much.
Yeah. This does come with a building that has a removable roof. Also allows builders to access the upper level of the structure. It does come with Lego minifigures, an orc rogue, a gnome fighter, an elf wizard, and a dwarf cleric. Also, some brick-built monsters are in there as well. A beholder, an owlbear, a displacer beast. And then builders can also create a giant Cinderhowl red dragon out of the kit, and they can wrap that dragon around the tower if they do want to do so. This set will be available for Lego Insiders beginning on April 1st, and then it will be in Lego stores and the website April 4th after that. Once again, MSRP is $359.99. I mean, I guess it looks cool. I'm not a Lego person at all.
Neither.
So
the movie was fun.
Yeah, exactly. I like the Lego movies, and the Lego video games of all the stuff they were, a fun little distraction. But yeah, but I mean, cool, I guess. There's a lot of people super excited about this. So, I mean, good on them, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Lego Batman was probably my favorite.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Lego
definitely.
Batman was a piece of art as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely. And then we're going to jump ahead and then come back in the show notes because I should have put these two back together. Speaking of Hasbro Likes Money, they have also teamed up with Converse to make shoes.
Yeah. So
I'm like, what?
Okay. So there was a guy hawking D&D shoes at Gary Con.
Yeah, these actually debuted at Gary Con.
Was it these? Because I don't. I'm looking at the pictures, and these don't look like the ones that they had for sale.
Okay, because they said they were going to debut at Gary Con, so maybe there was.
So maybe that is it. I know some guys. Yeah. Some guys posted some pictures because I saw them. I saw them one day. They had a table set up like right in the lobby of the resort. And they were hawking them, and I mean, I have arthritis in my feet. There's no way I can wear anything but a specialized shoe.
Right.
There was no way I was going to spend money on them, but there was people wearing them throughout the show. So I'm
not a sneakerhead, as they say, so this means nothing to me. But if you're into shoes and you're a sneakerhead, these are based on the Chuck 70s, which you would know what those are. This is in celebration, of course, of the game's 50th anniversary. They are going to have illustrations, graphics, and characters from the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual. The collection also is going to include Chuck Taylor All-Star iterations as well. Also, a full assortment of apparel, including t-shirts, crew necks, shorts, and the ever-popular trucker hat as well. They said in the press release, the collection was debuted at Gary Con, and then Converse X Dungeons & Dragons will become available globally beginning April 11th over at Converse.com and select retailers. They will be available to build on Converse.com in North America and Western Europe. So apparently it's like a specialty item that you have to design I guess you pick what design you want. I don't know. Again, I'm just like, okay. This does nothing for me. But once again, people were super excited about this as well. So
yeah, you nailed it on the head when you said sneakerhead.
Yeah, that's
I do know somebody that's like that, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
everybody has to have something that they like.
Exactly. And that's what makes the world go around. So there you go. Get yourself a D&D Lego set, some D&D shoes, and you'll be set. Then other Hasbro Wotc news at GaryCon, as a matter of fact, they detailed the quests that are going to be included in the Infinite Staircase book. We talked about this book a couple shows ago. It's another one of those multi-adventure books. The quests that are going to be in it are Beyond the Crystal Cave, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, Pharaoh, Lost Caverns of Sothkanth, The Lost City, and When a Star Falls. So
let me make one clarification there. When they say Wotc was at GaryCon, no, it was Chris Perkins was at GaryCon.
I was going to ask you, like, how many?
There was no booth, and if there was anybody else that was there, I didn't know, but Chris was there, and I don't personally know Chris, but I did see him walking around, so.
The Lost City. Let's talk about some of these quests, because there's a couple of these. I have no idea what they are.
So, I don't know how much I've talked about it on the show, but I've been pretty personal about some of the products that Wotc's come out with.
Well, I mean, and we both have, to be fair, but yeah.
Yeah, because they're not doing anything original. There's they're just retreading stuff that was, done 40 years ago or longer, and that's what this is. So Beyond the Crystal Cave, Expedition to Barrier Peaks, Lost Caverns, and When a Star Falls. Actually, I'm not sure about When a Star Falls, but the other ones, those are all Gary adventures. Pharaoh's was Tracy Hickman.
Yep.
Lost City. I'm blanking on Lost City.
Tom Mulvey.
Oh, was it Mulvey?
Yep.
Okay. But
the When a Star Falls was TSR UK. Yes.
Yep. No. Oh, I remember, because at that time, that was before they came out with some of the bigger adventures like Temple of Elemental Evil, and then all the Forgotten Realms box sets and stuff like that. That was right before then. And TSR UK did put out some pretty good stuff. I mean, it was different. It was fresh.
The Beyond the Crystal Cave is another very different adventure from TSR UK. It is inspired by Romeo and Juliet.
Yes. But I
don't remember this at all.
Yeah. No,
When a Star Falls, I remember. I've never played it, but I know what it is. But I don't remember the Beyond the Crystal Cave at all.
No, Beyond the Crystal Cave, we played that one. I was actually a player in that one. My dwarf ended up dying in that adventure. But Expedition to the Barrier Peaks and here's my other problem. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks and Lost City have already had a 5th edition conversion by Goodman Games. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to say about that. But in the large scope of things, these were very popular adventures when they came out. And now I did enjoy Tales from the Yawning Portal.
Mm-hmm. That was a very good book.
But they did 3rd edition adventures in there, then they did homage to the giants at the end. But these are literal retreads of, adventures from way back. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It might be a popular product only because, you can't, unless you're buying the PDF, you can't get physical copies of these anymore. They're almost impossible to find.
Right. And if you do, you're going to pay through the nose for them too.
Right. But like I said, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks and Lost City, that's part of the original reincarnated adventure products that Goodman Games been doing. So
I see them right on my shelf right over there.
Yep, and I didn't get a whole lot of chance to talk to my friends at Goodman this last show because whenever I went in there, the vendor hall was just smashed. There's so many people. I'm gonna guess that Wotc terminated that license with them so that they could do products like this. So
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
probably yeah.
But something I was going to talk to them about. I didn't get a chance.
This covers levels 1 to 10. Lost City is 1 to 3. When a Star Falls 4 to 5. Crystal Cave is 6. Pharaoh is 7 to 8. And then Sojkanth is 9 to 10.
Yeah, and Expedition of the Barrier Peaks, that's the one where you find the spaceship.
Yeah, I loved Barrier Peaks.
Yeah.
I would actually love to see that come to DDO, to be honest.
It was a very difficult adventure to run. To be honest, our group didn't enjoy it a whole lot.
I never ran it. I just played in it a couple times. One of my first DMs loved it.
And I'd be interested to know what they're doing with Pharaoh, because remember, Pharaoh was a 3-module adventure series. Pharaoh was only one of the adventures. There was 2 other ones. And actually, Jerry's said multiple times that was his...
Desert of Desolation.
Yeah, Desert of Desolation series, yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, is that all 3 adventures or just one? Or...
I think it's just Pharaoh, and then I kind of assume they will probably do the other 2 then, would be my guess. They'll probably have another product that's another multi-adventure book like this, and they might open, they could do the next one and then the next one, but.
Yeah, so I'm sorry I didn't move it in the show notes, but they also have the free version of Lost Caverns that you get through D&D Beyond. So that's part of the launch of this Infinite Staircase product.
Yeah.
And they did run this at GaryCon. I think they ran it as like a competition event.
Yep, they're doing that at a lot of other conventions too. Yeah, they're doing it like old school convention competition style, where you get scored for if you do this, if you do that, if you do that, and then Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't play it, but I don't know anybody who did. But if you're on the GaryCon Facebook page, there was a lot of people that had a really good time playing it. It looks like so. Hey.
I'm going to try to sign up to play it at Gen Con because I kind of want to see what they have done with this, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then also in Hasbro Wotc news, you actually put this in the show notes. I guess they have some AI plans? ?
Yeah. So apparently... Oh, okay, so think back about when they were talking about, we're not going to have AI Dungeon Masters, we hate AI art, we support artists. And then there was how many AI art?
How many times did they get catched? Exactly.
I mean, the Book of Giants apparently had a significant number of
Yes, it did,
pieces. There was a promotional piece for Magic that everybody was like, dude, that's AI art. And they're like, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. And then I guess it is.
No, sorry about that.
And I actually saw some AI art in an Instagram ad for what was that? It wasn't Giants. It was I think the Planescape. That one didn't hit the mainstream media, but I looked at it. You can tell.
Well, you can always tell if it's AI art or at least AI influenced somehow. It might not be fully AI, but yeah,
right.
You can tell.
So Chris Cox, who's the head of Wizards of the Coast, Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro?
He is
Hasbro.
He is Hasbro. He was Wotc. Now he's Hasbro now.
Yeah. So they're saying, hey, every 2 to 3 months, we're going to have a product that has AI in it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So I guess what they said before doesn't really mean anything. I mean, they're talking about generating AI adventures based on Reddit content,
which is weird, right?
That screams weird to me. And then he's like, "Hey, what about the open gaming license? How does this relate to that? I mean, if an AI engine grabs something that isn't open gaming license, well, then I don't know. It seems like they're kind of opening themselves up for a big can of worms here, if you ask me. But
yeah.
I mean, AI is the new shizzle, right?
Oh, it's everywhere right now. Yeah. You see and hear about AI everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, and I've played around with it a little bit. Like saying, hey, generate me a D&D random encounter with trolls,
Right.
and you let it go and watch it and see what it does. And sometimes it's cool. I mean, maybe parts of it are something that you could grab and use, but I mean, verbatim, I don't think so. At least I don't think it's that good from what I played with. But this bothers me because I mean, look at my previous comment about, hey, they're not generating anything new for D&D.
That's
I mean,
exactly it.
I mean, if you look at the design team, I mean, in the 80s and then when I was involved in the 90s, all the original, really cool original ideas and content that we came up with. I mean, and all WotC has been doing for the last 2 to 3 years. It's just been retreading old stuff. I don't know. I guess maybe if I ran a big, gigantic company, I would think differently. But as a creative person, I'm not a fan.
Easy way to make money, I guess. I mean,
maybe. I mean, but I don't think it's working very well. For them, but,
I don't know. Well,
yeah.
there's a lot of things they're doing that aren't working real well, but here we are.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I mean, as I'm looking at it right now, Hasbro stock is down to $56. So,
I guess we'll see. So stay tuned to see how this AI thing works out for them.
Yeah, and we got some more Hasbro fun later on.
Yes, we do.
Or WotC fun, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so.
And then also, as we tend to do when you're on the show, we do talk about some of the Humble Bundles and other bundles, and then some freebies and Kickstarters. So you, and that one Kickstarter you put in here, I didn't know anything about. I guess that's later in the show, but
yeah, that's on the tabletop stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that you put the first Kickstarter stuff in these show notes.
Okay, I did. Thank you. Yeah, that's true. Guilty as charged, sir. But anyway, go ahead.
So for bundles and freebies, I got a couple of things. If you know who Owen Casey Stevens is, he's if you play Pathfinder or Starfinder, you're probably familiar with Owen. He did work for Paizo, then he kind of went freelance, and then he came down with some horrible cancer. And he's been fighting it for, a year now. I don't even think he's left the hospital. If you can find it in your heart to donate a few dollars to Owen, some of my friends are really good friends out in Seattle are really good friends with Owen, and I've never met him personally. I've read some of his stuff. It is very good. He's a great game designer. Unfortunately, one of the things that comes with being a game designer or somebody that works in the gaming industry is not having good health insurance. It's one of the reasons I don't work in the game industry anymore.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
Check it out. If you ever liked any of Owen's stuff, please throw him a few schmeckles. The next one on here is Green Ronin, or Green Ronin, however you want to pronounce it, is launching their second edition of their Fantasy Age RPG. So this is what they were doing with what were the worlds that they had for that, Drac? It was, I want to say, their Skyrim conversion and their Blue Rose role-playing game, and maybe a couple of other ones. Fantasy Age, it's kind of like a Die 20 variant game. It's got some other rules in it that you don't see in other games, but it's very popular. If you ever were curious about it, you can download a free quick start for their second edition right now. I like quick starts. I mean, I know you look at them too. They're a great way to learn how a game works, and see how a character's laid out and stuff like that. See if you'd like the game. I mean, that's how I got involved with the Dragonbane from Free League. I looked at their quick start adventure and I really liked it, and a couple other ones. So If you're interested in that, check it out. Also, from speaking of Free League, they're Coriolis. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. They have a quick start for that game, and they're also actually kickstarting a new edition of it. It's kind of like a Doom knockoff world. So, but it's like
Sort of
high-end sci-fi. It's an interesting system. If you're looking for a weekend game sometime. But the big one I put on this list, and the thing is I have half of this stuff already, so I probably won't be getting it, is the Best of Magpie games. And this is the Avatar Legends game that I really like. They're doing a humble bundle for it. There's 30 items for $40, which includes a lot of the Avatar books, the core stuff.
There's a lot of stuff in this bundle.
Yeah, there's also the Root game. That's the game where you play like small woodland animals.
Yep, it's based off the board game.
Yeah, it actually has a pretty respectable following. I was mildly surprised when I was looking into it. It also, if you're a fan of the Fate system, they have some Fate products in here. It's a Magpie puts out kind of like a newer wave style of role playing games.
I highly recommend Bluebeard's Bride too.
Yeah. I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And then this humble bundle supports. I had it here.
Child's Play.
Child's Play, the Child's Play Foundation. So yeah. So check it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this. Like a lot of stuff in this.
And you do have an option to buy the Avatar Legends starter box, which I have and I think is great. If you wanted to learn to play the game. So. Yeah, so that kind of takes us through the bundles and freebies.
This is a good time to start talking about GaryCon, because you, sir, were there in the flesh. So tell us about GaryCon. How was GaryCon?
GaryCon was exhausting. I needed a vacation from my vacation.
Yeah, it's usually the case.
By the time I got back. Well, the funny thing is so Drac and I played DDO last night, and my stream failed. The sound on it wasn't working. I didn't find out till this morning. And we did talk about more GaryCon stuff there. So, hey, I can ignore everything that we talked about last night and reiterate it here. So.
There you go.
So now, prior to GaryCon, they ran this thing called Founders and Legends. So this was Luke and a gentleman named Paul Stromberg, who were kind of doing a 3-day event for all the old school people. So if you're an old school grognard like me, Founders and Legends was also a good thing to go do. So you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Founders, Monday, Tuesday, and they were, even though the con wasn't going Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday people were showing up, but people were still running games on Monday and Tuesday. I mean, they just left the con space open, and I know Ed Greenwood was running games like all days on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, even before GaryCon was running. So, think of it. It was so you get there on like. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Founders and Legends was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But people were arriving on Friday, so you could have arrived for Founders and Legends on Friday and not gone home till the next week Sunday.
That is crazy.
Now you're going to pay a premium for staying that long if you like had to get a room or something.
God, I can't imagine.
But and we'll talk about food in a minute here. But yeah, I know that some guys were like, "You thought I was dragging on Sunday?" Oh man,
I bet.
Yeah,
that's a long time.
It is a long time, but nothing but praise and for everything that was done for both events. So I arrived on Wednesday. Got there about noon. I had lunch with Harold Johnson, who was one of my bosses at TSR, and another friend of ours, Doug, because we were running a AD&D First Edition game for the show. We ran it. It was supposed to be scheduled for 6 times. It only ran 5. I'll explain why in a minute. But there was a little bit of disappointment right on that first day. So traditionally Wednesdays at 5 o'clock, and they usually ran it for 3 hours. They never really had to run it for any longer than that. You get in line to pick up your badge. So you didn't have to worry about getting it the first day of the show, especially if like I had a game at 8 a.m. I had to pick up my badge on Wednesday.
Right.
And within, I don't know, a half an hour before, so 4:30, so half an hour before 5 o'clock, the line was 1,000 people. It was crazy. It went all the way down one hallway, all the way back up another hallway, down another hallway, and into the lobby of the convention is at its longest point.
Sounds like Gen Con.
Well, there's a couple of things here. First of all, I wasn't going to get in the line right away. I'm not going to stand that. I'll wait till it goes down a little bit. Well, it never stopped going down.
Right, AJ.
Longer and longer.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay, I better get in this line.
Yeah, like crap. I got to go get in this line.
And then they're like, oh, well, we're calculating this line here, and we don't think that you're going to get in by 8 o'clock. And I'm like, well, you're going to go longer, right? No, we're closing at 8. I'm like, what?
Oh, hell no.
Oh, yeah. And I grabbed one of my friends.
Oh, hell no.
I grabbed one of my TSR friends that runs the show. I said, dude, you cannot turn anybody away that's been standing in this stupid line.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And suddenly the line got really fast. I think they might have told the volunteers that says you're going to be here till everybody's done, and they're like, I don't know if they were taking their time before or what the story was.
Right.
We ended up. I probably standed 45 minutes in the line, but I was with my friend Doug, and we just chatted the whole time and had a good time. But there was a big surprise though, and I got to send you the picture. Typically, game masters will get like a couple of bennies for run events. It depends on how many hours you run. Like we were running 20 hours of games, and 30 hours of games. And I wasn't expecting this, but the gift for being a dungeon master or game master was there was this giant pile of stuff, and one of them was this box, like, I don't know, 2 feet by 3 feet box with like how to paint dungeon terrains and stuff, and it had everything in it, like paints and dungeon stuff and whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I ended up with 5 of them because some people didn't want them because they gave out the same thing they gave out some of the same stuff for the Founders and Legends. But if you're not a terrain guy or whatever, but I ended up with 5 of them, so I brought 5 of them. I mean, I'm carrying around these giant boxes, right? And then I gave some away to some of my players, and I brought a couple home for some friends. So that was pretty cool. You got dice, you got a T-shirt, you got one of those Game Master screens where you can take the paper out on the DM side, and then it had Gary Con stuff on the one side. And one of the pictures is like a really old school picture of Demi Gorgon, like with the baboon head.
Oh, sweet.
And guys were posting on the Gary Con. I mean, this is the noobs were posting on the Gary Con Facebook page. Hey, what's with the baboons?
Noobs.
I had a chuckle on that one. But they, so Wednesday they were like setting up for the big events. The one, and I sent you a picture of it. The one that really stuck out to me was the 32 millimeter version of the Temple of Elemental Evil.
That was amazing looking.
Well, yeah, I mean, from a distance, it looks great. Up close, it looks okay. I mean, it's made out of foam. It's not, but it had little 3D printed stuff all over it. But so my friend Doug, he was helping put it together, and he was up to like 2 a.m. painting all the little spikes that were all along the tops and the sides and stuff like that because they had forgotten to paint the spikes. But I actually had a chance to swing up there when they were playing it, and they had like all the demons out front fighting all the player characters. It was pretty cool. And then other giant miniature games, and then they had the big wall of Gary stuff, and and then for anybody who's never been to Gary Con, in previous years they had a little poster board with where we would write the names of the gamers who people friends of the game of the con and personal friends who'd passed away, and with Jim Ward's passing, I think they decided to kind of open it up to the public. So they bought this big giant kind of like a display board, and then they had the markers, and everybody could go up and write who they wanted on there. So people like wrote all their friends and stuff like that. I mean, obviously Jim's name was up there several times, but I put my friend Keith, who passed away last year, up there. But it was kind of cool. So actually, did I send you a picture of that?
No, you didn't.
I will send you that. Because I thought it shows all the people, this was Gary Con 16. So all the people in the past 16 years who were attending the show. So
that's amazing they did that, though.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So Thursday we had I had to get there early to get a parking space because I wasn't on site at the hotel. We were actually staying at a hotel down by the lake, which was a nice hotel. Thursday we ran games from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. My event was a first edition, AD&D first edition event. And I want to do a shout out to a guy I met years ago. His name is Carl Black, and I'll probably send a link to the show for Carl. But anytime you're in a game with Carl, he has these dice made up where the one says "Damn it, Carl."
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So every time you roll a 1, you're like, "Damn it, Carl," or better yet, whenever Carl rolls a 20, it's God. The DM says, "God damn it, Carl." But
that's awesome.
I mean, that just shows the level of fun that some people bring to the show. I think it's really special. And then Friday, same deal. Got there early. Set up for the second part. So we ran the event at 3 parts. So we ran part 1 on Thursday twice, part 2 on Friday, part 3 on Saturday. And Harold ran the early slot on Friday. So I actually got to go to the vendor hall. I did pick up a couple of things. I picked up the Dark Tower conversion for 5th edition from Goodman Games, which is another one of these massive original adventures reincarnated set of books. There's actually 3 books. There's the first book is the original that was done by Janelle Jaques. The second was the 5th edition conversion. The third book was actually additional stuff that the designers put into the game. And it starts at 7th level, and it's supposed to go to 14th or 15th level, I think. If you get a chance to see this, they did a 5th edition and a DCC Dungeon Crawl Classics edition. So I also picked up some kitty and undead dice because you're at a con, you got to buy dice.
Of course.
I got a DCC shirt, and I bought a tube of their dice. That they had a really cool set of dice there. So I bought 3 sets of dice. I have too many dice. And then I did pick up the Fallout RPG starter set and Game Master screen. I've wanted to learn the Modifius 2x20 system for a while now because they have the Conan version of that. That's pretty popular. And Fallout's coming out with a new show on Prime here real quick. They also got a miniatures version of the Fallout RPG that my buddy Doug was running.
That miniatures game looks so good too.
Yeah, I sent you the pictures.
Yeah, you did.
Picture of that.
Good.
Because he did the whole vault. He did a vault thing with miniatures and walls and stuff like that. And then somewhere he found a Fallout license plate from a bicycle, and he made it the sign on the front of the vault. It was kind of funny. Saturday, again, got there early because if you didn't get there early enough, because there was very few parking spaces that were within 50 yards of the convention. The GM parking was about 100 yards away, but I had all the stuff to carry for the event because we had miniatures and gaming tiles and just this giant 3D printed DM screen. And So I'm used to getting up early, so it wasn't such a big deal. But if you were unlucky enough, you had to park at the airport, which is like a mile away, the old Playboy Club airport, and then the trolley would come and pick you up eventually. But so that was part 3, the finale of our adventure. We had a morning slot, and those guys were fantastic. Probably the best group of convention players that I've had in a really long time, which included Dan McCarl. And the not spoiler alert for anybody that plays the event. You might turn your sound off for a moment. The final encounter is with a red dragon, and the dwarf was toe to toe with the red dragon, and just prior to coming into it was like the caldera of a volcano, and right before he went in to face the dragon, he drank a potion of heroism, and then there's something that's supposed to happen to finish the event, and the monk was supposed to do it, and the monk fell and couldn't get up after the dragon breathed on everybody, and so the dwarf had to drink another potion. I said, well, if you drink that, I got to roll in the potion chart. You know what I'm talking about, Drac?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So for anybody who doesn't know,
good or bad things could happen.
In first edition AD&D, if you drank 2 potions with a couple turns of each other, you had to roll in this chart, because the potions could mix together and cause something bad. On an 01, you explode.
Oopsie.
But this guy, I know, right? But this guy, Brian, he rolls like a 90-something. So it was like, both potions work, and one of the potions has 100% increased ability. So the other potion he drank was a potion of Storm Giant Strength. So his damage went from plus 12 to plus 18. And he punched my dragon to death.
That's amazing.
So they had a great time. My second game on Saturday got canceled because only one guy showed up because, and I guess I'm on the fence whether I want to complain about this, but that was when the charity auction was for the convention. And everybody wanted to go to the charity auction because Joe Magna, whatever his name is, was running it. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of cool stuff.
I bet. I can imagine.
I know Ed Greenwood donated some stuff to the charity auction this year. I'm pretty sure he did. I didn't get a chance to talk to Ed. I saw him briefly. He didn't come to the party. So boo on that. So only one group got to run my finale and fight the Red Dragon. Then I had the TSR party Saturday night. We did a big tribute to Jim. His family was there. His wife.
That's cool.
Yeah, his wife, 3 boys, and all his grandkids came. And
that's amazing.
Each one of us walked up to his wife, Janine, and told them a story that she'd never heard before. So, and I was one of them. So.
That is amazing.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. But talked to a lot of my old friends. I had actually had a really long conversation with Matt Forbeck because I really love his new Marvel superhero game. And we might be doing that next year. Sunday morning was just like,
Yeah, that's about the time you're always dragging at conventions. It's like, my God. It's like the fourth day, and you're like,
Yeah, so there was still games running all the way up until like 4 p.m. But, I mean, between my knee replacement and my feet and everything, I was totally burnt. So every Sunday morning at GaryCon, they have a memorial service. So I attended that because the service... the intro for the service was for Jim and Janelle, and Janelle's wife was there, and one of Jim's sons was there as well. And then we did the walkthrough. I texted you when we were doing the walk. I was doing one last walkthrough to kind of see everything and say goodbye to folks, and I did do one last walk through the vendor hall. There was a bit of a disappointment for me and a couple other people that I talked to about the vendor hall because there really wasn't any game companies there. It was like all tchotchke things, you know. Like I sent you the picture of the guy of the company that had the little drow plushies.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, those were so cute.
Oh, they were gone.
I wanted one of those so bad. I was going to tell you, give me one of those, but
They were kind of pricey. I don't think
Oh, were they? Never mind then.
And then they had the life-size Drist figure for $800.
Yeah.
And but I don't know, I mean, Goodman Games, Modifius, and probably just Troll Lords, and then Luke's Gaxworks.
That's surprising. There wasn't more companies there.
No other game I mean, there was a couple of small ones, like Necromancer Games was there, but I mean, they just had old stuff.
Right.
But like last year, Adventure Week Games was there. A couple other companies were there with their products, and they did have the the artist row. With the artists. So Jeff Easley was there. Larry Armour was there. I mean, I think he's 93, 92, something like that.
I didn't realize he was that old. Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He said last year was going to be his last year, but he was there this year. So a lot of people getting their picture with Larry. Diesel LaForce was there. Jeff Butler was there. I love Jeff because he if you remember the Badger comics, it's got superhero Badger. Yeah, Jeff used to do a lot of art for them, and we talked.
Oh, okay.
I used to love the Badger, and I'm actually gonna. I got to get his information from Harold, and I probably am gonna ask for a print for one of his things. So, yeah, I love talking to Jeff, and Darlene was there. She's getting up there in age too. If you don't know who Darlene was, she was the person who did all the original Greyhawk maps and stuff for D&D. A lot of dice companies. Norse Foundry was there with their metal dice, if you like those. Had a couple people in my game use the metal dice, and they bump really loud on the table. I don't know.
That's why I don't like using them. I mean, I like them, but I don't like using them for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing D&D with your buddies on your wife's.
Oh, you definitely don't want to do that. You definitely want to have like a dice rolling tray or something, yeah, because
something.
Those will nick up a table.
Yeah, it's because they do have some sharp corners on them.
Yeah,
but very pretty. I mean, they're just stunning looking.
I have a set from Skull Splitter when they were sponsoring the show that are so nice. They are so pretty looking dice.
Yeah. I have a Starfinder set from Norse Foundry that looks spectacular. So that was cool. They had a whole Gary Con thing that you can buy. You could buy this miniature. It sold out instantly of a Beholder and Gary. It's like this pewter thing. They wanted like $100 or $150 for it.
That's cool though.
Yeah. It sold out. I mean, they were gone like as soon as they went on sale. And I got enough Gary Con T-shirts and stuff. I didn't really buy anything there, but it was a good time. I mean, the convention was sold out. I mean, they sold out of badges back in like September, and then in November, I guess they went back to the site and said, hey, and they looked at how many games were scheduled and how many players and openings and versus number of players and all that stuff. And then they released like 200 more badges that went instantly. But I will say this. If you're on the Gary Con Facebook page and you want to go to the show and you don't have a badge, within the last, I want to say 3 weeks maybe, badges went up for sale like crazy. Like instantly one a day or more. Because people's schedules change, they can't go. And Tabletop Events, which is the software that Gary Con and a lot of other cons use, allow you to transfer a badge from one person to another. So, you'd probably have to do like a PayPal thing or something, and then the guy would transfer the badge to you. So, even if they get sold out, I mean, I'm sure they're going to sell out again next year. It's just so crazy. But even then, don't despair because people do sell their badges the closer they get to the show.
So, since you said it was so busy, that brings up the point. Do you think they'll ever move it from Lake Geneva to somewhere bigger?
there was some talk about it. It's really hard to say. I mean, the whole point of it being in Lake Geneva is because it's
Right.
Gary's town.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the gentleman I mentioned previously, Paul Strongberg, he's part of this group that's doing all. He's the guy that's behind the things like the tributes to Gary around town. So you had the park bench, there was a chair in the library. Monday after GaryCon, they finally ratified the gaming table and Gary statue that they wanted to put up. So there's going to be a Gary statue and then like a gaming table that people can stand around.
That is too cool.
I know, right?
That is amazing, actually.
So, I mean, I don't know. The one, and I think I mentioned to you last night, they're building another hotel like right across from the resort. So, they did have a lot of events. There's a ski chalet. That's where we had the TSR party. There's a ski chalet that they had events at this year, and then they had events at the Timber Ridge, which is a water park on the same grounds. And I stayed there 2 years ago when they were doing too much construction going on in the hotel. So they're adding locations, so they might be able to up the badge count as a result of that.
Right.
We'll have to wait and see. And one more thing I'll say. My last disappointment. Conventions are expensive. I mean, you know that.
Oh, yes.
Between travel, badge fees, game fees, if there are any, and hotels, which, I mean, you've said that Gen Con hotels are like out of this world.
Yeah, they are. They're stupid.
This is a very expensive show. What I was very disappointed in was the on-site food this year. Last year, on-site food, great. You could get what they were calling a Gary burger for $5. It was freshly cooked. It tasted wonderful. The guy would put a slice of cheese on it if you wanted. Blah, it was great for $5. Well, this year it was $8, and they were microwaved hamburgers. And hot dogs and brats, and they were horrible. Also, and this was kind of a funny thing, right where my game room was, there was a vending machine area that was probably like generic to the convention, right? And for $2, I can go up and get a bottle of water, or I bought some guys, like Harold and some guys at my table, a couple of things of tea and stuff like that.
Right.
Drinking soda, because drinking soda sucks. Anyway. Then you go to the place where they were selling all the food, and a bottle of water was $3.
Yeah, that's about right.
And then Thursday, Friday, a cup of coffee was $3. On Saturday, it was $5.
Oh, jeez.
And I didn't appreciate that.
Oh no, not at all. That's pretty crappy.
I mean, that's just spiking it for more money. So I don't know. You're at the whim of the convention site, no matter what you do. And believe me, you got to get some food while you're running games and walking around. And I mean, we always went to dinner either at the hotel, or there was another place downtown that we went. After we left the show, because not staying on the grounds, it was easier to get something to eat after you left.
Oh yeah.
So we went. I mean, the hotel had a restaurant. We went there. There was a noodles nearby. We went and got some noodles. But Wednesday, when I had lunch with my two of the people, Harold and Doug, the bill was $90. In the hotel restaurant.
Yeah, I can't wait for that food bill at Gen Con this year too. It's going to be great. Yeah.
So, but
perfect.
It was a very memorable show, and I if you ever wondered about going to a convention and the fun you can have, check out the GaryCon Facebook page, because I haven't seen one post that says I had a shitty time. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I had a terrible time, and this was a waste of my money or blah blah. Everybody was just freaking out at, all this different stuff, and I'm kind of humbled too, because I got people coming up to me asking me for autographs now, and it's what gaming used to be like when I got involved in gaming, 30 years ago. So to me, it was like coming home. I don't know if Gen Con would check that box off for me anymore. So
Probably not.
yeah, the other big convention in Wisconsin is Gamehole Con, and that's in October. I might be attending that, so we'll have to wait and see.
Stay tuned.
That's my so for my celebrity watch, because I did that last year. So Gary Con Celebrity Watch. I did see Joe. I did not see Paul the Big Show, but I did see pictures of him on the Facebook page, as well as Vince Vaughn. Your guitarist buddy, I don't think he showed up this year.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about him being there, so yeah.
No, but Vince was there.
Tom Morello, for those wondering who the guitarist is. Rage Against the Machine guitarist.
Yeah, he was there last year, and I made fun of him. I made fun of him for Drac.
He did. He casually sends me this text. It's like, look at this weirdo that's at this table next to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?
But yeah, and like I said before, Ed Green was there. I can't even tell you how many pictures I've seen online with people with Ed. I mean, he loves the attention. He loves having a good time in his games. And there was other TSR people there. More than a couple to mention, but it was a good time.
All right, with the Gary Con wrap up done, we will jump to the On the Tabletop. See what's happening. A lot of this is Kickstarter. Surprise, surprise. Brotherwise Games does have a new Kickstarter going for Super Boss Monster. If you were not familiar with it, Boss Monster is one of my favorite games.
Is that I've never heard of this, dude.
You've never heard of Boss Monster?
Nope.
It's a dungeon crawling game where you build the dungeon out. It's like a deck building game. You get a deck of cards and then you lay out a dungeon. Okay. and like the cards have certain icons on them, and each like icon will like get a hero from town to come into your dungeon, and you're trying to build the best dungeon you can to defeat the heroes that come into your dungeon. And then you have, like I said, you have like different cards, and you have like traps and other special rooms you can lay down. You're trying to lay the best dungeon that you can lay out that will attract the most heroes, but you have to be able to beat the heroes that your dungeon is going to attract.
You know, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned this. There was a game at GaryCon that got a lot of attention because everybody was playing monsters, and then they had to kill all the heroes.
Yeah, it's I love Boss Monster so much.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out because I've never heard of this before. So what? So this is a Kickstarter for another card game version of this?
Yes, it is a new version of it. It's called Super Boss Monster. It is for 1 to 4 players. It's based off of Boss Monster. It's got the same rules, but then it has some other rules on it as well. There's also going to be a new town board that you can send minions into town to do stuff for you to help you in the dungeon. There's also a new mechanic. There's a couple new mechanics to kind of spice up the game, and then there's going to be some landmarks that are going to have some other things that you can do. Boss Monster's been around for about 12 years now, so this is like
an updated
version of it. There's also a digital version of it that you can play too. I love Boss Monster so much. It is so much fun. So yeah,
I'll have to check it out.
this is running now, and as of our recording, it has 5 days left to go. So if you want to jump in on this, and you can, there is a pledge level where you can get everything. If you would like, you can get like everything they've had out for the original Boss Monster plus this. It's like 175, I think, is that pledge level. But that's a lot of games. You get all the Boss Monster, all the expansions, and then you get the Super Box Monster, the expansions for that, any unlocks they have. So if you just need the Super Boss Monster itself, it's like $45 just to get it. So there you go. Check it out. You got 5 days for Super Boss Monster, and that is from Brothers Wise Games. And then you brought something to the show notes that I don't know how I didn't see this Kickstarter. It's called Doppel.
Yeah, I think this launched when I was at GaryCon because I only saw it like yesterday. And I'm kind of torn on it because I think it's a cool idea, but I don't think it's quite there yet. What it is, it's this little cigarette lighter size display where you can change the picture and then you use it as a token in your game. So the premise is really cool. I just think that it's too big for a 1-inch hex map.
Yeah, I watched the video on this, and that was my biggest problem with this. Is it's way too big. I mean, it's cool. I like the concept of it, but yeah, I think it's way too big.
Yeah, I mean, they made their pledge level. They're at $171,000.
I'm trying to see if it says how big it is.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it looks taller than like a large monster, but my concern is the base because it looks like it's rectangular. It's not square, and
it works with iOS and Android.
Yeah, so you control it with your phone. Okay, so you put it on the table, and then you can like change the picture on it with your phone. And they're touting it as the world's first digital miniature.
It's a very cool concept, but I have like a rule that I don't back tech on Kickstarter.
That's not a bad rule.
But yeah, no. Oh, here we go. It is 30.2 millimeters wide, 25.5 millimeters in depth, and 80.45 millimeters high.
Okay. So a little bit bigger than a 1-inch square.
Yeah.
But it
is pretty cool.
I thought I would throw it on there only because I'm always on the lookout for something that's new and different, and this is new and different. I mean, nobody's done this before, so maybe coming soon to the tabletop near you. I would be more likely to back this than have my D&D go all electronic.
Right. No, I agree with that. And that would be another thing too. I wonder how many like DMs or whatever would even allow this on the table, because I know there's like a lot of DMs that like just don't like phones or iPads or anything like that at the table. So imagine it's like, hey, here's my miniature, and then you plop down this like little electronic device.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because one of the things that we noticed at GaryCon, so I was in this room with 4 tables. And I actually requested this room because it's like less noisy. But there was, when we were running the games on Friday, the other 3 tables, all the guys had TVs that they brought in and put on the table.
Really?
So not miniatures or maps or nothing. They were doing everything off of a digital TV display. And one of my friends said, kind of defeats the purpose of an old school convention.
Well, yeah. I mean, it does.
But at the same time, it looked like people were having a good time. So.
And that's kind of the way of the world, I guess.
Yep. And because of that, I'll put a thumbs up on it.
Right. So then, Hobby Games eked out a win in 2023.
A tough win.
A tough win. Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the if you're a fan of ICV2's website, they do have
They do some decent stuff from time to time, but yes.
Yeah, they do have numbers on the gaming industry every quarter and every year, and it looks like, according to them, and I think they get a lot of their information from Gamma,
which would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, Gamma Game
Manufacturers Association.
Game Manufacturers Association. So according to according to this, three. So this would be almost 2.885 is where we are in 2023. 2.86 is where we were in 2022. That is billions of dollars, folks. So $1 billion. So
it's a lot of money.
$2.8 billion the last 2 years. However, one of the things that they did see was that the trend seems to be that board games are on the upswing and role-playing games were on the downswing. So,
which is interesting, actually.
Yeah. They said collectibles and miniatures were the only two 2023 growth categories. Board games, card games, role-playing games were all down. And that honestly, that can be a little bit reflected in, the controversy and bad numbers from Wizards of the Coast. But I do agree with the fact that I think board games are up, because I think the board game part of the hobby is eking out into the non-geek culture. Like your weekend board games and, family board games and stuff like that. So that's all huddled in there. But it's an interesting trend. At least the hobby is in the same place it was, last year, and definitely up from previously. So if you go by this chart, if you go all the way back to 2018, the industry was only 1.4, or closer to 1.5 billion. And now we're at 2.8, almost 2.9. So interesting growth. They're saying it was a 2% increase overall. So
we'll see where we land for 2024. Let's take a look at On the Screen. The big news of the past couple weeks is the announcement that Larian Studios made, they're done with Baldur's Gate. They are not going to make any more Baldur's Gate games.
Not only are they done, they're really done.
Oh yeah, they're like cleaning their hands, walking away. Larian boss Swen did say the studio's ambitions are too big and life is too short to be making Baldur's Gate 3 expansions.
Yeah. There was a quote that I saw that said, hey, they were already starting DLCs, but nobody's heart was in it.
Yeah. He said, we are a company of big ideas. We're not a company that's made to create DLCs or expansions. We tried that actually a few times, and it failed every single time. It's just not our thing.
So let's look at this with a little bit of a different lens. The Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, they're getting the lion's share of every purchase of Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah, they get a big chunk.
I don't know what the. I don't think it's public knowledge.
No, and I don't think you'll ever know exactly what the numbers are. But yeah, no, I bet it's a big chunk.
I've heard that Larian gets. The guess is based on certain things was anywhere between 10 and 20% for everything. So WotC's getting 80% of every Baldur's Gate sale. If you're a company, why would you continue to work on a licensing agreement like that?
Exactly.
you have a team of developers that have just created this game that has exceeded everybody's expectations by a mile.
Right.
And then just keep filtering money back into this another company. They also said, hey, I mean, not in the official press release, but a lot of people are saying, hey, one of the biggest things with the Wotc layoffs this fall is everybody that worked with Larian Studios was gone.
Yes. And Sven did, when those layoffs first happened, he did tweet that, and he said, thank you to everyone that used to work there that helped us create Baldur's Gate, and we work with, they're no longer there. Yeah. The whole entire team got laid off that helped with Baldur's Gate.
Now, if you remember, the Wizard of the Coast is like, oh, well, we had a great year, but a lot of that was due to Baldur's Gate. So even if it took, so typically a lot of companies, they'll put out a game, it'll be very successful, they'll do DLCs until they release their next version.
Right, exactly.
Just to keep the money flowing. So you got one group of guys working on DLCs for the previous game, you got a group of guys working on the new game.
Yeah.
So they're not even doing that. And the other thing, and you and I both saw the video. There's a YouTuber that Drac and I watch who has very strong opinions about Wizards of the Coast, and it was said on that video that maybe Larian Studios didn't like the fact that Wotc was swinging around their big you-know-what, saying, ha ha ha, we made all this money on Baldur's Gate, and here's Larian Studios who really did all the work, and
right,
didn't do anything.
What a lot of people don't understand too, I think, is Larian Studios is not like a huge game studio. They're a pretty like in the whole sea of game development studios, they're kind of a tiny little studio that did some amazing things.
Right.
And exactly. So in light of this, and then there's two things I really want to point out. One is over on X, Swen said, reading the Reddit threads, I want to clear up something. Wotc is not to blame, which I agree, it's pretty much Hasbro, but anyway, Wotc is not to blame for us taking a different direction. On the contrary, they really did their best and have been a great licensor for us, letting us do our thing. This is because this is what's best for Larian. Because, everybody is saying this is Hasbro Wotsc's fault. And he's saying, no. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure a lot of it is. But
yeah, you have to put on the pretty public.
Right. Well, of course.
And
of course.
Politically correct. There is a business etiquette model that you
right. But I'm pretty sure Hasbro had a lot to do with this.
Well, or the workings of Hasbro within the last year.
Right. So, in light of this, Wizards' parent company, which of course is Hasbro, did say it's like, we've got a new D&D video game coming out. It is a survival life simulation game that is going to be set in the Forgotten Realms. It's going to be made by a studio called Gameloft, who their biggest game is Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yawn.
Which is very, very heavily DLC'd and cash shop, etc., etc. Just keep that in mind.
So in addition to Baldur's Gate, what made Wotc money or Hasbro money last year was Monopoly Go. So my fear is, or thought is, that everything's going to go mobile or console, where you can take advantage of all those in-app purchases and what.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings up what I said from day one when Pokemon Go started getting so big. I'm like, why does Hasbro not do a D&D version of that? I am shocked they have not done that yet.
But where I think the failure in this is going to be, though, is that I don't think the people that play Baldur's Gate are necessarily the people that are going to play Pokemon Go.
That is correct. That you were talking about two different audiences there.
Yes, And now that you're
So
abandoning the video game model like Baldur's Gate, 1 through 3 and whatever, you're abandoning that model. You're losing all those people. Assuming that they're going to migrate to these other mobile DLC games I think is a pretty bad assumption.
Hasbro has to find another studio to do Baldur's Gate 4, though, right? Like, they have to. They would be stupid not to.
Yeah, I don't know.
They gotta find somebody to, pick up the torch, as it were.
And the other thing, I did see an article that said, hey, they were so happy to say that in doing all these mobile games and DLC content games, that they're spending $1 billion. Did they really have $1 billion to spend? I mean, if you look at their financial report that was released,
yeah, I don't know how they do, but good luck to them, I guess. Well,
and there's videos out there on that too. It's like, well,
think about it.
Their corporate reports and stuff.
Right. Think about it. We talked about it when this was, I think, last year. We talked about Chris Cox saying they want to monetize D&D any way they can.
I'm tired of hearing that.
And this is exactly what they're doing. This is the first step of that. The second step is that AI bullshit they got coming out.
Yeah. And then, what happens to your traditional gaming at the tabletop thing that started it all?
It's going away.
They're leaving it behind.
Exactly. Because, and we have talked about this before, but now if you want to order a hardcover book from Wotc, you have to do it on D&D Beyond. You have to order the D&D Beyond digital version, and then, I guess you can add in the hard copy if you want that too. But we don't know why you would want that, because you have the D&D Beyond version right here.
Well, and think about it too. I mean, they can even take that a step further and have it a print-on-demand one, which print-on-demands can be okay. I mean, I got print-on-demands for the first edition books because mine are just beat the snot. But, I mean, and they were good, but it's not the same. So, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Like, the whole saga of everything with this plays out.
Yeah,
but
I just think your traditional D&D that everybody grew up with is going away. Now,
it is.
If that's the way of the world, but there are plenty of other companies out there that are doing it old school and new school and doing it right. I mean, like, I praised Tales of the Valiant from Cobalt Press on the show several times because I'm in on it, and we got a note the other day saying that the physical products will be right around Gen Con, hopefully. But yeah, I can't see gathering at conventions and playing, all digital games when you can just do them online.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I guess it'll be interesting. So stay tuned for this. We'll see what happens. Yep. But Larian did say they are going to release a couple patches. They're going to fix some things, and they're going to add a couple other endings in and some other stuff that they wanted to do. So they're going to still kind of support 3 for a little while, but eventually that's going to stop. But they just had a patch last week, as a matter of fact, and they got another one coming out, I think, next week. And then they've announced some newer endings. They're going to give some new evil endings, actually. So if you were doing like a full evil playthrough, they are going to have like some evil endings coming out. So they're still kind of supporting it, but don't look for any expansions or anything. They're done after they get done with this patches and some couple last updates.
Well, let me throw one last thing on the fire here. So Baldur's Gate 3 has been making this huge splash for a while now.
Right.
And then you look at somebody like me who I haven't picked it up yet. Now that I know they're not doing a sequel, I'm not going to get it.
Well, I'm guessing it's going to get dirt cheap here pretty quick.
Or it'll get it more. But the point being is, I mean, it's the same thing when you get a subscription to Netflix and you watch your favorite TV series, and it doesn't get renewed, and you're like, screw you, Netflix.
Right, exactly. No, same thing exactly, 100%.
There will be some people who are going to abandon D&D video games altogether because Larian isn't around anymore.
Right. So. Well, I guess we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at our week in gaming. I will start out. I actually played DDO. I know everybody is like, what? You played DDO? I did.
It's been a New Year's resolution of yours.
It has. And to play just more games in general, which I did a lot of that. So I'm trying, folks. I'm trying. Hopefully we can get the show being more regular, too. That was also a resolution as well. So that hasn't worked out so well so far, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I played with Pine Leaf. We did the east and west part of Threnal, however you pronounce it. Thenral. Okay, sure. I've heard it pronounced. I don't know. I've heard it pronounced like 4 different ways. It's like one of those. Didn't Arneson like make that name up anyway?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, so we did the east and west of that. So we're gonna finish that. And then I played last night with Beeker. We actually did like a lot of stuff. We got like a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, my stream that didn't work.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We did Dolaros.
We did, yeah.
Beginning to end. Yep.
Yeah, we did. So we got our voices, and that's on our like new characters that we started.
Yeah.
Over on Argo.
Right.
Or not Argo. I'm sorry. Kyber. Sorry. Yeah, Kyber.
Yeah, my Sacred Fist, Dragonborn, and your Drow?
Yeah, it's a Drow Dark Hunter.
Oh,
yes.
Dark Hunter.
Yep.
Yep.
And then, so that was my DDO gameplay. And then video game-wise, the aforementioned Baldur's Gate 3, I started back into that. I am almost done with the second act, I think.
Very good.
I think so. It seems like I think I'm almost done with the second act, so I'm still enjoying it. I haven't played it for a while, and with this news, I thought, I should probably finish that at some point. And then, but that's probably going to get put on the back burner because Diablo 4 just hit Game Pass. So if you have a Game Pass subscription, you can now play Diablo 4. Which that's all thanks to Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. That's how this whole thing happened. So I started that. I kind of dipped my toe into that. I started it on PC. I did download it on my Xbox One too. I just haven't played it on the Xbox yet. I've only played the PC wise. And then on the Steam Deck, I played a game called Chanabra. I don't know how you pronounce that. It's like a Japanese name. I had this game for PS3. I haven't played it in. God. Yeah, I haven't played it in years. It is a Japanese game that you are a Japanese, we'll say, young lady. And you are in a zombie apocalypse, and you are chopping zombies up with all types of different Japanese swords.
That's your wheelhouse.
It is. Like I said, I haven't played it in years, and then there was a Humble Bundle that was out that included it, and I seen it worked on the Steam Deck, and I'm like, well, yes, please. And then over on the Switch, speaking of Japanese games, I finally started playing a game called Doki Doki Literature Club.
That is such an anime.
It is. I'm trying to think of how I can explain this game and not spoil anything about it. It is a psychological horror game. It starts out the first probably 20, 25 minutes of the game. It is a full-on like Japanese anime dating simulation. Is the is the easiest way to describe it. But then something happens. I'm not going to spoil it. And then it takes a turn. And then that's where your first playthrough ends. And then you have to play it again, but things are different, and it messes with your head. It is like a total mind just mess with game. It is so bizarre. And there's a lot of people that like would play this and they would just stop because they couldn't take it because it was like messing with their mind too much. And it's like, and I can see why. Like, I got to a point where I was just like, what the hell am I playing right now? What is even happening? And then one certain thing happens and I'm like, oh my God. And then, so I'll see what happens because you basically, like I said, you finish, quote unquote, finish your playthrough and then you start again, but it's darker and it's different and certain things are happening. Yeah, I can't go into because I don't want to spoil it, but it is super messed up, but I'm really kind of enjoying it. I don't know what that says about me, but anyway. So how about you? What did you do?
Well, GaryCon, baby. We just went through all that. Today, as I've mentioned before, I occasionally spend my weekends in the coffee shop writing stuff, but I had a lot of post-convention correspondence to do, messages for folks that ran in my games and stuff like that. So that's fun. I like. I'm really getting back into the gaming world a little bit. So because I've been away for a while. We did the Cruising with Drac last night. We also did a couple of weeks ago. I did a Cruising with Pine Leaf.
No, now you called it what?
Oh, I call it the Leisurely Leaf Stream.
That's it. Yes, gonna say that's what it was.
Pine Leaf, if you're listening, you probably didn't realize that, but that's what we called it.
Bless your little heart, Pine Leaf.
As we casually went through several quests on Kenneth.
Indeed.
So let me mention that too. So I jumped right on the Dragon Lord right when it first came out. So on Kenneth, my Dragon Lord, they're both blue Dragon Lords because they both have the same name, which I ripped off Saphira in the Saphiraptor, which is actually a blue dragon in the Forgotten Realms.
I didn't even notice that.
Yes, I know.
That's hilarious.
The one on Kenneth, when we play with Pine Leaf, that one is using two weapons. So really, your only two options for Dragon Lord is either fight two-handed weapon or two weapons fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So on Kenneth, I went with the Great Axe, Great Sword, and I kind of like that one better. But I'm still trying the other one on Kyber that I started, which would be two Bastard Swords. So I'm fighting with two Bastard Swords. I got the big old Bastard Swords. But I'm kind of liking the one on Kenneth is a little bit more DPS, I think, than the Bastard Sword one.
Yeah, you were tearing it up. Yeah. Well, you do on Kyber too. You were tearing it up last night too. I was because I barely could shoot anything before you were killing it. And I'm like, dang.
Well,
dude.
but that was with my Sacred Fist though.
Oh, that's true. You were playing Sacred Fist.
I almost switched my playing for our Cruising with Drac to the Dragon Lord because I am enjoying the Dragon Lord. I think if you mix it with a Dragonborn character, it actually makes it funner, especially when you add in like all the electric. Like I'm playing the Blue Dragon, so I got the electricity stuff on my side. But it was having a good time running with you guys, and Saphira and Beavis normally play with us, but they're busy getting married this week, so I don't think they're going to be on for a while.
Good excuse, I guess.
Yeah, priorities, I guess. So then I want to take a second to mention some stuff I'm watching on Netflix, and we talked about this on the stream last night. But
We
I'll
did,
reiterate.
but nobody heard. Wah, wah.
Yeah, but nobody nobody heard it. But there's a couple of shows that I'm watching on Netflix that I'm really actually enjoying. So I've been away from Netflix for a while, and then I decided to come back when they had you can buy the ad version, which isn't horrible, to be quite honest. I barely notice it. But the first one was a movie that I recommended to Drac. It's called Damsel, with Millie Bobby Brown plays the damsel, and she does get to fight a dragon. So I mean, that's spoiled in the pictures for the show and the trailer and whatever, but it's got a really neat premise. I like what they did. It was exciting all the way from beginning to end, and I'm looking forward to a sequel. So if you get a chance, check out Damsel on Netflix. Also on Netflix, and I think I don't know if I mentioned it on the show before, or it was maybe when we were streaming, is a show called Delicious in Dungeon. And if you haven't seen this, it's kind of the people who are doing the show are obviously D&D players, because there's so many references to D&D in it. But the whole point of the matter was these guys are in this big dungeon. They go down. They can never take enough food along with them, so they always are really hungry when they fight the big bad guy. They always die. And then the dungeon resurrects them, or allows them to be resurrected and stuff like that. And then they come back, and then they try again, and then they get really hungry, and then they're not up to their potential. And so they meet this dwarf who basically lives in the dungeon, and he just kills monsters, and he finds ways to cook them up and feed them to the characters. One which is a elf wizard, a human fighter, and a halfling thief. And it's got its goofy moments, but you know, they're like eating things like green slime, kelpies. They ate some kelpies,
As one would. I mean, you know.
Yeah. But then which is kind of like the head slapper. They actually went toe to toe with the dragon, and they made it into pizza. But one of the things that I told Drac last night was they kind of evolved. You didn't figure it out until maybe a couple episodes ago, but the dungeon is a complete ripoff of Dungeon of the Mad Mage from Forgotten Realms, because it's like an evil elf running the dungeon, and guys come in, they kill stuff, he repopulates. It's just like Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But I don't know. Well, it's fun. It's got some weird stuff in it that is kind of like for that world. Some new creatures that maybe we've never seen before. It's interesting. It's one of those shows that you kind of slap your head about a little bit or roll your eyes, but then you keep coming back for more type of show. So I'm really enjoying that. So that's probably about it.
Alrighty then. We currently have 12 supporters over on our Patreon. If you would like to help support DDO players, you can go over to our donations page. You can support the Players Alliance, which is the podcast network we are a part of over on our Patreon. That money is used for several things: podcast hosting, website hosting, live show hosting, all of the above. Anything that costs money, that's where we get the money to pay for the show and Lotro players. So if you're liking what you're hearing, think about supporting us over there. If you would just like to donate without using Patreon, you can do that, and several people have. We appreciate that as well. Just shoot me an email, drac@ddoplayers.com, and we can talk on several ways on how you can do that. We didn't get any reviews this week. We'd love your support. If you want to give us a review, just go over to the podcast app of your choice. Leave us a review. Let us know, and we'll share your review on the show. I just need to know where you left it so I can see it. Those do help us a lot, too, because the more reviews we get, the more we get pushed out on the podcast apps as well. We have no featured comments this week and no emails. If you would like to be featured in a comment or an email, comments are easy. Just comment over on the YouTube version of this or over on DDOplayers.com when the episode goes up, and we'll feature your comment here. You can email us at podcast@DDOplayers.com if you want to email us about anything you would like. And we do have 2 live shows here on the Players Alliance Network. The first show is Lotra Players News. That records Saturday evenings at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And then this very show right here is normally done live, but we were recording like the same time they were doing Lotra Players News, so we just recorded the show, and the day and time varies on this because of my dumpster fire of a life. But if you would like to join us live at any point, go over to ddoplayers.com/live, and you too can join us live when we are broadcasting live. That is all of the housekeeping out of the way. Anything else you want to add, Beeker, before we close this out?
Really? I just checked. Oh, I just did check DDO, and it's still down.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I was gonna do that too, and I forgot. Oh, well, okay. So
2 hours past the start of the show. So I'll just say, have patience, folks. I'm sure that guys at Standing Stone are pulling their hair out.
Oh, right, I cannot imagine. I can imagine the poor people at the data center. So indeed, show them some grace, because it's not SSG's fault. Just remember that. Yeah,
and it is Easter Sunday tomorrow as we record this, so be a little forgiving.
Indeed.
In your online rants.
Indeed. All right, with that, we're going to wrap the show up, and I will leave it with how I always do. I sure as heck hope the RNG is a lot kinder to you than it is to me. Which Beeker found out last night, and always on his stream. I rolled a 1 on a trap disable again.
Again.